continue to feel the pain of soaring inflation. It's why that several state governments are offering their own tax filers some relief in the form of stimulus and tax refunds. So while inflation has trickled down in recent months, following the record high levels not seen since the 80s, consumers are still experiencing some financial difficulties. Well, folks, here is the reason why. It's because the state of Massachusetts has announced that it will be providing eligible taxpayers with a refund that amounts to 14% of their personal income tax. And according to the state law, the state must return to taxpayers a portion of excess state revenue. If tax revenue collections exceed the annual tax, well, the revenue cap is going to be pretty much at insurmountable levels. But here's what we need to know about the fourth stimulus check. The state began sending out the refunds in November. Eligible taxpayers started receiving the refund through direct deposit or check sent in the mail. And those who have not yet filed their 21 tax returns have until September 15 to do so. There will be many more Americans getting a major check worth more than $3,000. It's been a few months since Alaska has been sending out the cash from its permanent fund dividend that had paid out to a lot of people in the state. Now, back in 2022, these checks were pretty much worth $4,000, and the exact date of when you get the money is sent is just deposited and depends on when applications are approved. Because Alaska's permanent fund dividend is continuing to accept applications through March 31st, and residents have until February 28th to file an application for property tax rebates as part of our state's Anchor benefit program. An estimated 2 million households in the Garden State are eligible for Anchor, which stands for Affordable New Jersey Community Homeowners. Now, homeowners who earn up to $150,000 will receive $1,500 in property tax, and they're also going to get a lot more money in stimulus payments. And also, another state like Connecticut, one of those northern states, you will begin issuing the payments from its premium pay program, or we call it Triple P. In the next 5 to 6 weeks, people will get stimulus, $1,000 between March 1st and $1,000 between March 11th. Applicants who applied by October will receive anywhere from, $200 to $1,000, with the full-time essential workers getting a lot of money. Because what we know for sure is that applicants will get that cash. And even in the state of Maine, Revenue Service has sent $5,000 checks worth around $450. And that was by January 31st. So that was about 2 weeks ago, and now people can get even more money. $200 rebate to North Carolina residents, and will be available by October 1st to anyone who is 18 or over. Now, this is a bit different from the past stimulus checks that have come from the federal government because those were able to be deposited into people's bank accounts if they provided the information, and while these payments have come in the form of a debit card or check only. So the child tax credit in 2022 will return to conditions offered by the IRS before the American Rescue Plan expanded it. The amount of the credit is smaller, and eligibility is more restricted than last year. Under the rules which were established through the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. These changes will be in effect through the 2025 fiscal year if no action is taken by Congress to modify the credit before then. A big change to help many families last year was, instead of receiving monthly installments on the credit they did from July to December of 2021, the money will be distributed in the form of a single tax credit, which will reduce the size of the recipient's tax bill or increase their tax refund. Taxpayers with eligible children will be able to claim a credit worth up to $2,000 per child, and this year the credit is partially refundable, and there is an earnings threshold to be able to start claiming up to $1,400 portion known as the additional child tax credit. Taxpayers who owe less in taxes than the refundable amount will have it added to their tax refund. The non-refundable portion will reduce taxes owed dollar for dollar. 2022 child tax credit is available to parents with dependents under the age of 17 at the end of the year, December 31st, 2022, and who meet certain eligibility requirements. And under the credit, children ages 17 were eligible for the full amount of the much larger 2021 child tax credit. Many studies have linked the 12-month child tax credit expansion to a decrease in child poverty, and first-hand accounts for those who received the payments occurred.
Who opposed me on that score. I always, when people have a suggestion, I say, does it create jobs? Does it create jobs? Does it reduce the deficit? The national debt, and let's go bigger.
And Arkansas is trimming its top individual income tax rate to 4.7% after reducing it from 5.5%. Aside from individual income tax cuts, states have proposed rebate checks for their residents. Last year, 17 states issued inflation relief payments as well. And now, if you're a Massachusetts resident, income tax refunds were available to you if you paid personal income taxes and filed your return by October 17. If you file your state return by October 17, you should be able to get your stimulus check back. Nearly $100 million in rebates will be sent out to residents across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Starting today, over 4 million older homeowners, renters, and people with disabilities will be issued rebates on rent and property taxes paid in 2022. According to a release, the rebates will be allocated to eligible Pennsylvanians who submitted an application through the property tax and rent rebate program. Applicants who submit their bank account information on the application forms will receive the rebate through direct deposit. And those who request a paper check to be mailed should expect to receive the payment in the mail too. But after the initial distribution of rebates in early July, rebates will be distributed as claims are received and processed. Recently, a Pennsylvania governor called for a major expansion for the relief program, which will provide a lifeline for Pennsylvania renters and homeowners. Under his proposal, the maximum standard rebate would increase from $650 to $1,000, while the income limit for renters and homeowners would be made equal and both increase to $45,000. But these income limits would also be tied to the cost of living moving forward, which means people who receive a rebate will not have to worry about losing their eligibility through no fault of their own. Ultimately, the proposal would result in nearly 175,000 additional Pennsylvanians qualifying for a rent rebate. Hoping to attract new residents, the governor has also proposed new tax breaks, and according to recent data, Pennsylvania experienced a notable population decline between 2 years. Some people may consider Pennsylvania to be a high-tax state due to generally higher property taxes and high gas taxes as well. But the governor's announcement related to one of the state's proposals would actually be offering an annual $2,500 tax credits to new nurses, police officers, and teachers. It is including those who moved to Pennsylvania with a state-recognized credential.
On appropriations. Off the floor, our appropriators continue to make good progress on the appropriations bill. This morning, the Appropriations Committee is marking up the remaining 4 appropriation bills. It's just like the NDAA. Both sides, Democrats, Republicans, have been working really well together. This is never an easy process, but I really want to thank Chair Murray and Vice Chair Collins. They have worked together.
More than 2 million retirees. One is the windfall elimination provision, which reduces the Social Security benefits of local, state, and federal retirees.